Good morning or good afternoon or good night, whatever time of day it is for you. Um, I'm just going to quickly go over what Nathan was talking about because sometimes it gets confusing when you read it in old biblical language. So, David commits all those sins and he does not listen to the Holy Spirit saying, "Oh, this is wrong," or his conscience saying, "What are you doing?" Um, and so God's like, "All right, I'm going to send someone else to kind of wake you up to what you're doing." And so he sends Nathan the prophet. And Nathan comes up to David and says, "Hey, let me tell you this story." And he says, "There is this rich man who's got so many livestock, like a ton of sheep." And remember, David was a shepherd, so he gets stories about the sheep. Rich man, a lot of sheep. Then there's this poor man. He's only got one little sheep. It's his pride and joy. He loves it. And this traveler comes to visit this rich man. And so when someone comes to your house in biblical times, you make him food, right? Kind of what we do now, too. But the rich man didn't want to use any of his sheep. Instead, he goes and he steals the sheep from the poor man and uses that sheep instead. David gets super mad after hearing this story and says, who is this man? First off, he needs to pay back the poor man like four times over. And then on top of that, like he should be punished. And Nathan says, "You're that guy. You're the one who stole the sheep, aka Bathsheba," which is funny, Sheba, sheep, from Uriah. He only had one. You already have all these wives. And you chose to steal from Uriah, who just has the one wife. You committed sin in God's eyes, and he's very disappointed with you, to say the least. David immediately repents. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm sorry. God, please forgive me." And Nathan says, "Obviously, God forgives you, but there's going to be consequences. And the son that you were supposed to have with Bathsheba is going to die." And he does. And there's just this feeling of super sadness. But God always forgives his people. And so God forgives David. And to give him mercy, God helps them get pregnant again. And they have a new son named Solomon, which is a very important character in biblical times. He eventually becomes the one who builds the temple to God, and he's known as like one of the wisest kings. So God lets some pretty good stuff come out of a really bad situation.